Welcome to Films Under Your Bed. I'm Wesley McCraw. Today we're talking about 90s horror films. I'm going to go through the decade in chronological order with my standout horror movies that I think you should watch. The first movie is the worst movie. It came out in 1990, and it's Troll 2. It has quite the reputation as the worst movie ever. There is even a documentary about it called The Worst Movie Ever. It's about goblins. It was made to be a standalone film by an Italian film company, but the distributors made it into Troll 2 for marketing purposes. The script and the director both spoke Italian and hired American actors to play the parts. The script is not great, partly because obviously the writer wasn't the best at English. Definitely worth watching, even for people who don't usually watch bad movies to laugh at them. This one is so over the toply bad that I do not feel bad ridiculing it. Next, 1992, which was an amazing year for horror films. There were tons of horror films that came out this year, but my top three are first, Dead Alive by Peter Jackson. He directed one of the most crazy zombie films ever made. The gore is completely over the top. I've talked about this movie before, but it's an amazing film. It's hard to find the uncut version, but seek it out and watch it if you can. The next one is Candyman. This is based off of a Clive Barker short story. Candyman is definitely one of the most effective horror villains that was created in the 90s. Candyman plays with this concept of you being able to see Candyman, but nobody else can see him, and he can often manipulate the situation and make you seem crazy or make you seem guilty of a crime. But the movie itself plays with a lot of racial anxiety and fear by white people of the projects in a progressive, interesting way. It's also shot well and acted impeccably. Definitely a film that works on multiple levels, and one of my favorites from the 90s, obviously, because it's on this list. Third is another comedy, Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness is the third Evil Dead film. It's super over the top and fun and goes in all sorts of interesting directions that you wouldn't expect from an Evil Dead film. Definitely a great film from my childhood. Moving on to 1993, no movie this year, but this was the start of the X-Files, which has many horror episodes that stand up to the films of the time. Really, X-Files was remarkably cinematic compared to the television shows that were produced at the time. In 1994, there was two films that I can recommend. One is In the Mouth of Madness. It's about a writer who's kind of like Stephen King, only his fiction ends up influencing reality and causing sort of maybe or maybe not the end of the world. Interestingly, in the same year, Wes Craven released New Nightmare, which had sort of a similar idea of the blending of fiction and reality. In this case, Freddy Krueger starts to kill the people who make the Nightmare on Elm Street films. In 1996, Wes Craven made another classic film, this one, Scream, which is sort of a postmodern slasher film. It's very self-aware. People at this point in time had gotten a little bit sick of slashers and the repetitive nature of them, and so this film pokes fun of that. It's also scary and funny, and it created quite a few copycats that came after it. Sort of shifted the whole horror paradigm at the time. 1997, no movie really stands out to me, but this was the start of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy the Vampire Slayer definitely had a huge influence on me and my tastes. I'll probably do a video just on that in the future. After that was 1998. The big influential film of the time was the Japanese Ringu, or The Ring. But I'm not a huge fan of The Ring, so I'm going to pick The Faculty. It was written by the same person who wrote Scream, Kevin Williamson. Once I watched Scream, I sort of followed his career, watching anything that he wrote. It was sort of a case of diminishing returns, but I enjoyed The Faculty. I think it's underseen and underrated, and definitely a fun Friday night horror film. Last is 1999. This had sort of a huge breakout hit that was a phenomenon at the time, and that's the Blair Witch Project. This sort of took over the culture, and the palpable fear in the theater was probably the most intense thing that I'd experienced in a theater when it came to horror films. It's very rare for sort of the collective fear of an audience to be palpable, and that's sort of what happened during the Blair Witch Project. I don't think it has that effect anymore, and I think it was just sort of a specific moment in time where people bought into the marketing of the Blair Witch Project and felt it was real, and that feeling that it was real in the theater really got to people. I remember watching it in the theater and people like gripping each other's hands, and it was just super intense. And I don't think that experience will ever be duplicated. It's not my favorite horror film, but it is a memorable experience I had with horror films in the theater. One other film that year that I think stands out is Sleepy Hollow, which I had mixed feelings at the time, but it grew on me, and I think it's definitely a horror film that has aged well. That's some of my thoughts about horror in the 90s. Hopefully, this pointed out some horror movies that you haven't seen yet and would like to see now. Thanks for watching. I have no idea what kind of videos I'm going to make next, but probably reviews. Thanks for watching. Oh, and like and subscribe.